In today's talk, I would like to develop a concept I consider very important for life. It's a concept called never give up. I think one of the things we have to understand about living, about growing, and about recovery, that it's something that's a process. There's so many times I've heard from therapists, I've heard in treatment myself, people saying, trust the process, it works. Trust the process, it works. Work through things. Let them grow, let them develop. And honestly say I never understood that until I began to really work in the field and work on my own life. I began to realize the process does work. But it takes patience, it takes time, and sooner or later, things that are healthy and beautiful win out in the long run. So today what I'd like to do is share this talk called Never Give Up, which is called the process of recovery. To look at this process and to realize this is how it works. I want to begin this talk by sharing a story. The story comes from the Bible. And it goes like this. There was a man that went out to sow some seed. Some of the seed that he sowed fell on rock. Some of the seed fell on shallow, sandy soil. Some of the seed fell amongst weeds and thorns. And some of the seed fell on good ground. The seed that fell on the rock never started to grow. The rock was too hard. So eventually the birds of the air came and ate it, or the wind blew it away. The seed that fell amongst the shallow, sandy soil started to grow. The soil was too shallow and too sandy. And the first rainstorm that came along washed it away. The seed that fell amongst the weeds and the thorns started to grow. But the weeds and thorns grew right alongside of it. And eventually they choked it and killed it. The seed that fell on the good ground started to grow. But the seed grew downward, inward, developed good roots and good foundations. And from that came something very beautiful and something very special. I use this analogy because the seed is something very basic. The seed is recovery. The seed are the 12 simple, beautiful steps of this program, and they work. The 12 principles and spirituality of life. Unfortunately, when the seed falls, it falls in different directions. Many times when we hear the message of wellness, the message of recovery, it's all according where we are and if we're ready to hear it. The message is always the same. I guess what I find so beautiful about this program of the 12 steps, that the message of recovery has not changed for centuries and for years. It's always been the same. It works. The beautiful concept of wellness, the concept of body, mind, and spirit working together, beautiful aspect of each human being is so special and so beautiful, and yet it's frustrated by us. So the process is the same. When the process arrives in our lives, it arrives at different levels that we're at. And usually the first time we hear the message of wellness, the first time we hear about change and growth in our life, the message usually falls on a rock. I use that as an analogy because it's an analogy of our head. Our head is like a piece of granite. We don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to see nothing. I don't want to know nothing. Stay away from me. Don't tell me nothing. So as a result, what happens a lot of times is we don't hear the message of recovery at all. We don't want to hear it. That first stage is referred to as denial. You know, it's unfortunate, but so many of us, because of our stubbornness, our insanity, and our craziness, we deny the reality of what is. We deny it because we're scared, because we're afraid, because we know if we face it, it's going to create change in our life. If it creates change, it becomes even more scary. See, change is a beautiful thing, but it's also very scary. But it's also something that leads us in new directions and new developments in our life. So denial is something we all have. Our denial systems are our defense systems. They're our systems that prevent us from growth. Denial means stay where you are, stay secure, don't make any changes. Just be the person you are right now. You won't need anything more than that. That's okay. Denial is sick, but denial is also something that's very real in the course of our lives. One of the reasons why we're scared to death to break denial or penetrate denial is because if we do, we're going to experience something that most human beings run away from in life. We're going to experience our own emptiness and our own aloneness. So many of us are scared to death to experience that, to experience our own self. Emptiness and loneliness are two scary things. They're scary because it means I can't function in them. How do I deal with my emptiness? Not knowing who I am, letting go, allowing change to take place. That's why so many of us have to go through stages of recovery. Usually when you penetrate denial and break denial, the second stage of recovery is that shallow, sandy soil. Now watch how this works. I call this stage the honeymoon stage. I like using the word honeymoon because it's like a honeymoon. It's almost like when you break denial, you discover something new, something that all of a sudden is different from before. It's like you get very, 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 very excited. And it's almost like all of a sudden you find the answers to everything. You notice how the process works. This is something new. It's something I've never experienced before. And all of a sudden, I'm now experiencing it, and I like it. And I like these new changes in my life. And I like what I hear, and I like what's going on. So as a result, what do? I run with it. I go crazy with it. I forget the soil's still shallow. It's still sandy. I want everything all at once. I want to change everything right away. I want all of it I never had before. Like a hungry child who's been starving for years, finding food. You can't feed him a lot in the beginning. And yet the child wants it all. He's hungry. It's like that little child inside of us that is finally awakened. It's a beautiful stage, by the way, the shallow, sandy soil stage, because in that stage, you become very, very, very vulnerable. It means you have finally broken down your defenses. You have finally opened things up. And now you begin to expose yourself to new things, to new changes, to new directions. And as you expose yourself, it becomes very scary. Because you begin to experience feelings inside of you you never had before. Because you will now give yourself permission to have them. They were there. But see, you close them off. In denial, we live in very safe, secure, little, sick worlds. And we think, again, like I said before, our norms are okay, and they're not. But then we let the stranger in. We allow something to come into our life. We allow growth to take place, and we like it. And it's almost like we fight it, and we fight it, and we fight it, and we fight it, and we fight it. And so finally, we kind of give into it. We break that denial. We get scared. We don't know what's happening to us. We can understand the changes occurring in our life, because so many of us thought, hey, I'm set for life. This is the way it's going to be. You know, the old grin and bear it thing again. Now all of a sudden newness comes into your life. Freshness comes into your life. In the beginning, you want it all. You want to change everything. You tend to go crazy. You forget your responsibilities. You forget everything. And everything just goes with this newness that came into your life. There's no balance. It's called the honeymoon stage. Honeymoons aren't supposed to have balance in them. They're supposed to be just kind of way out there and crazy. That's what honeymoons are. And that stage is very important because that stage makes us feel all the good things we can have. It makes us feel all the special things in our life. It makes us feel ourself. It makes us get into that high plateau of celebration. And it's almost like everything is okay. Everything's great. Everything's wonderful. And all of a sudden we experience it all. And it feels good. My God, what high. It's a tremendously high feeling. It's almost like here's this person inside of you that you have not known. People have been telling you for a long time it was there, but you never know it. Now all of a sudden you discovered it. And when you discover it, you don't want to let go of it. Oh my God. It's called the honeymoon stage, the romantic stage. It's like falling in love with yourself. Experiencing this whole new love feeling. You know, people are in love, they're temporarily insane. When they're in love, they forget about everything. They don't even eat. They don't care. They don't care about nothing. They go through this whole stage. It's almost like the whole world is a cloud of roses. There are no more problems in the world. Nothing's wrong anymore. Everything's going to be great. Everything's fantastic. Unfortunately, we expect it of everybody else, too. So as a result, we walk on this journey that's not real. It's kind of a little fantasy, but you need that in the beginning. What I call is whetting your appetite. Then you begin to realize the beauty of things that are inside of you, starting a growth process within the honeymoon stage. But please remember, very many of us feel very good during this stage and things are working very well. But please remember, the soil is shallow, and the soil is still sandy. And the first storm that comes along, the first cloudburst, the first confrontation scares us, and we run like crazy. And very many times we run right back into our denial and right back into our unmanageability, right back into our craziness again. We run back to the safe and the secure, because the honeymoon means I've experienced something good to one extreme, and when I get scared in that, I want to run back to what I knew before, because I don't know anything in balance yet in the future. See, that second stage is so important. You got to go through it. You have to experience it. I call it the romantic stage, the honeymoon stage, the development stage, the stage of exposure, the stage of opening everything up, the stage of becoming vulnerable, finding out about yourself, finding out about life, exposing life to yourself. And all of a sudden, it's a big world out there. You want to discover it all in about 2 days. You want it all right away. It's a healthy stage to be at if you know the soil is still shallow, the soil is still sandy, and if you know there's more to come. If you experience that stage of recovery, what usually happens is that euphoria stays around for a while. People tell us that it stays around maybe for 8 months to a year. Now, some people, they can maintain their honeymoon a little bit longer in that recovery stage. But then all of a sudden you begin to experience some feelings. They're very strange. It's almost like you begin to say, I want more. I want something else. You begin to feel empty again. You begin to say things like, is this all there is? Is this just the way it is? And all of a sudden you start doing something which sounds very crazy because you've experienced all these good feelings. You start questioning the feelings. The third stage, the weeds and the thorns. You start looking at them and saying, hey, what am I doing? I can't do this. And all of a sudden you start feeling something that is a strange phenomena, but a stage of recovery that most of us don't understand. You start feeling guilty because you have made changes that are healthy in your life. And this is a very strange phenomenon. I really have a hard time with this one. But you actually begin to miss, you begin to feel guilty, and you begin to want to go back to that old denial pattern again where you were before. Because remember, it's safer and securer back there. Now you're starting the real journey of recovery. Now you're beginning the separation process. You know, when you're separating from something, you come out of the honeymoon stage, the honeymoon ends. You now begin the separation process. You begin to let go of and break loose of what was before. It's very scary. It's very scary. Because it means now I have to face reality. The weeds and the thorns are nicknamed reality. Now I've got to take this gigantic honeymoon, this gigantic fantasy world, all these things that worked and were so very beautiful and so special, this little secret world of mine, and all of a sudden now I got to bring it into reality. In the beginning stages, it's almost like you're losing it. You mean I have to let go of all that? Yes. But you let go so something new can be born. A new direction, a new discovery, a new honeymoon, a new beginning. These new beginnings are so special in life. And yet so many of us are scared of that new beginning. We're scared of separating, of letting go. Because we felt so good and so special and so great. And everything seemed to work out fine in that honeymoon stage. Now we've got to separate from the honeymoon and start moving into reality. In this stage, we start looking at a stage of recovery, of separation, that is very scary. It's called the bargaining stage. Usually during this stage, you begin to experience, first of all, a lot of depression. And depression, of course, is anger turned in on yourself. What you're really angry at is that you're beginning to lose that euphoria and that good feeling you had in the honeymoon stage. You're losing it. And you thought for sure you had it under control for the rest of your life. You really thought you had it all together. You really thought that's exactly how it was going to be forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And now all of a sudden you begin to lose that and you start feeling depressed. You start getting down on yourself again. You keep questioning and asking questions and getting into bargaining and trying to work it out and try to figure it out and try to do this. But you begin to feel very guilty because you made these changes. I like to describe this as the stage where the changes you made now get tested. Now they get tested. Now your recovery begins. And I always describe it in the following way, and I love doing this little analogy. What I want to do is an analogy of AA, NA, Al-Anon, Nar-Anon, OA, all the self-help programs. A lot of people get into these programs because they are recovering people. They get into these programs, they have this sudden burst of really being excited and really getting into them and really beginning and seeing new things in their life. They're exciting for them, I know it. But then all of a sudden they have to make a decision. It's a hard one to make. So many alcoholics stop drinking. So many drug addicts stop using drugs. So many compulsive overeaters lose weight, control their and develop abstinence. So many family members make good decisions. And now they got to do something else. They got to grow. They got to move on. They have to bring this into the reality of the world in which they live. That's very scary. The analogy I use is, one of the things people do after meetings a lot of times is they always meet at diners. They like to hang around diners. Everybody, sometimes they say the best AA meetings and the best Al-Anon meetings are held in diners, not really at the meetings. And some people develop what I call the diner mentality. Now, the diner mentality works like this. You sit in this great big diner. Everybody's together and everybody's there and everybody feels good and everybody's sharing with each other and dumping on each other and everything else. And out the window of the diner, there's this bridge. It's an interesting bridge. On the other side of the bridge is a whole different world. The world is fogged in. You can't see it. You don't know what's there. The bridge is entitled Recovery. Everybody in the diner talks about going out there and walking across that bridge. And yet very few people do it. Because in the diner, they're trying to figure out what's on the other side of the bridge. And they don't know. It's too foggy, they can't see. And people that have walked over that bridge to the other side, they don't see them anymore. They're not in the diner anymore. They can't figure out why. Or if they are in the diner, they change completely. And so now we have to decide, are we going to cross that bridge? The bridge is called recovery. The bridge can be rickety, can be scary. What's on the other side, we don't know. But the other side is the good soil, the change, the development in life. And yet we're scared to cross that bridge because if we cross it, it means we can't come back. We can't come back. You see, most of us would like to look at that bridge and say, well, you tell me what's on the other side. You explain it to me and you show me exactly what's going to happen, and then I'll cross it. The 11th step of the program tells us God's will for us, not ours. We don't know what's on the other side of the bridge. You have to cross it with faith. You have to believe. You're going to walk across that bridge. You're going to walk across it all alone. But you're not alone. Your higher power walks with you. As each of you cross that bridge, you even help each other by giving each other support as you cross it. And so many of us are going to make the decision to cross that bridge. It means letting go of the weeds, letting go of the thorns, letting go of the excuses, letting go of all the things that held us back for so many years. It means beginning a journey, a spiritual journey of life, a journey that not a lot of people will go on with you. I always say there's usually one or two people that will take that journey with you. That's about all. The rest of the people will sit in the diner and cheer you on and wish you well, and then talk about you after you start the journey, telling you that you're crazy. You see what he's doing? He's crossing that bridge. He's nuts. He don't know what's on the other side. But as you walked out the diner door, they give you a party and a send-off. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? See, so many people get to that stage of recovery, that stage of growth in life, and they want to go backwards. It's easier to go backwards, believe me, because that bridge is painful. On that bridge, you're going to experience powerlessness. On that bridge, you're going to experience change. On that bridge, it's going to open up a whole new world to you, and not the way you plan it. Lots of things are going to happen on the other side of that bridge. We don't know what they are. We just have to be open to them. And whatever happens is supposed to happen. And from it will come our growth. I call it the bridge of faith, the bridge of believing. If you pray to your higher power, keep your higher power centered inside of you, and you cross that bridge, you'll be okay. In fact, You'll experience things beyond your wildest dreams and your wildest imagination. But so many of us want to go back to the honeymoon stage, or back to the denial stage, or run backwards. How come I can't stay on the honeymoon? How come things can't always be wonderful and great anymore? We scream and we yell and we carry on. We keep looking out the diner window and then we say, okay, let's cross it. And usually crossing that bridge means getting honest. Crossing that bridge means being able to share with somebody and realize the intense journey that bridge involves. But don't try to walk it all alone. It's very lonely. Walk it with people that love you. You know will be there with you. Walk it in a very special way. As you walk into the unknown, you're walking with your higher power, with the people that love you, with your support. As you walk into the unknown, you'll be okay. It'll be all right. You just got to keep walking. You got to keep walking. You can't turn back. Hang on, but keep walking. It's a scary journey. It's very scary. But it's called the journey into the good soil, into the real change, the real development, and the real strength in life. As you walk into this journey, you may experience again, you no longer bargain. The bargaining is over. As a result of the bargains not working, now you experience, before you take this journey, another depression, a deep depression. You're really down on yourself. But that deep depression is very healthy because it leads you to the next stage, the stage of the real journey. And now you know you've got to walk it. And you walk out there, you're scared, you're vulnerable, you're hurting, but you're walking it and you're beginning the journey of the good soil. The good soil means that now I am ready to really begin to grow, to really grow up, to really accept recovery as recovery is. I am ready to begin learning. I am ready to be open to what has to be. I am ready to look at directions that are healthy and positive for my life. I can no longer allow people to try pushing me off the bridge. I can no longer allow people to try cutting the bridge. I have to keep walking. The journey might be scary, but I keep walking. There are a lot of people who will try to stop me from making this journey. Because if I make this journey, I'm going to change. If I change, then they may not like me anymore. You see, it's so nice to be liked, but it's not the secret of life. The secret of life is to like yourself, to be proud of yourself, to be proud of your decisions, to be proud of your journey. The secret of life is not to reverse and turn back. It's to keep walking, keep moving, keep growing. It's called the secret of recovery. The good soil is very special, by the way, but remember something about the good soil. The good soil means that no more, you won't have the gigantic honeymoon you had before. The good soil means you've got to now start developing roots and foundations in reality. The good soil means you have to work on the soil. You have to nourish it. You have to develop it. You can't take it for granted. You got to work at it every day. You have to love at it every day. You have to develop the new soil and begin to realize the learning process that takes place. Let me use a couple of analogies to bring this out, which I think are so important. First of all, to get to the good soil, you have to come to another stage, which I didn't mention. I'll mention it now. The other stage you have to come to after the depression stage is what I call an anger stage. You finally come to what I call the healthy anger stage. The healthy anger stage comes right before the good soil. That's when you finally get angry at yourself in a positive way, not a negative way, not a depression this time. You look at yourself and say, hey, this is my life. I'm entitled to it, and I am going to live it. And I can live my life in a positive way. And finally, I am tired of everybody else. I am tired of all the victims. I'm tired of everything. I am finally sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I got to move on, and I got to live my life. Now I'm in recovery. Now I work on the good soil. I work on the roots, on the foundations, on the growth, on the development, in all the areas of my life. It's very painful to work the farm. It's very painful to work the soil. If you notice farmers spend a lot of time working the soil. A lot of time before they get the results. We have to develop the roots and the foundations of recovery. Now we begin to work on the real roots of ourself, the real foundations of our life. And from it comes our own personal growth, comes our relationships, comes our love, comes everything in life, comes the healthy us. The healthy person now emerges. Remember something about being a healthy person. You got to keep working on it. You can't just let it go. You can't take it for granted. Because there's still the negative in your life, but you got to keep learning from it. It's developing a new attitude towards it. Let me show you what I mean. When I was a kid growing up in South Camden, my father was a city farmer. And being a city farmer in those days, I'm talking now the late 40s and the early 50s, you know, my father kind of grew everything in the backyard. One thing about my father's soil is my father had very, very, very rich soil, very beautiful soil. One of the jobs my father gave me when I was a kid, a very simple job, was to earn some money. What he would say to me was, take a bucket and a shovel, and whenever the horses would come down the street, whenever you saw the horses take a good, healthy crap, he would say, take the bucket and the shovel, scoop the crap up, put it in, and bring it back to my garden. My father used nothing but horse manure in his garden. He would then take it and nurture his soil and develop his soil. One day my father said to me, Vince, come here. I said, what? He said, pick up a handful of that soil. And I did. And he said, now I want you to taste it. I said, what? You got to be kidding me. Taste it. I envisioned all that manure going into that soil. I said, you want me to taste it? He said, taste it. Well, in those days, you didn't say no to your father. So I tasted the soil. The soil was very rich, very sweet, very black, and very moist. My father said, all that crap, all that manure you put in there is no longer crap, is no longer manure. It is now healthy, rich, life-giving soil. The lesson I learned from that is this. In life, we have a lot of crap, a lot of manure. And sometimes it overwhelms us. But if we look at life in a positive way, we can look at the crap and the manure and use it positively to transfer it and make it become good, healthy soil for us. The negative things that have happened in our life, the negative aspects of our life, are in reality good and healthy. Because from them comes all of our growth. From that comes our foundations. From it comes our strength. But you know, you got to get to that stage where you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then all of a sudden, you are ready. All of a sudden, you want it. Then you'll never give up. You'll keep struggling. You'll keep working. You'll keep moving forward. You'll move in a positive direction, in a healthy direction. You'll take your time. You'll do it positively and with responsibility, but you'll keep moving and keep growing and keep discovering the gift of you. But letting go of something that is negative is hard. Because even if it's negative, we have built a relationship with it. It's part of our life. And even though it's negative, we realize that it became part of us. It's part of our history. And so now we have to take that history, that negativity, and learn, grow from it, discover from it. Use it as the fertilizer to discover the new beautiful part of us, to make our life become more positive and more special, to develop a new area, new relationships in life. That's the beautiful part of recovery and the good soil. Did you ever walk through Center City in Philadelphia or any other place and notice a construction site? Usually when they're going to build a great big skyscraper, the first thing they do is they come in and they put a great big fence up around this big piece of ground they're going to work on. Next thing they do is they dig a great big deep hole. And as you walk by every day going to work, you have the little peepholes in the fence, and you walk by and you look in and you keep saying to yourself, what are they doing? They've been down there for 3 months, all these little men running around this great big hole. You wonder, what are they doing? When's this building going to go up? What's taking so long? Well, you see, all of a sudden one day you walk by and you see the walls of the building going up, everything else goes up real fast. And you remember something. Those men spent those 3 or 4 months down in that hole developing the foundation. Once you develop the foundation, the rest of it goes up real nice. In our program, we have a very special foundation. The foundation is the 12 steps. The 12 spiritual steps of recovery. Those 12 steps are the most beautiful foundation of life They are spiritual, they are emotional, and they are physical. They teach us every aspect of our life as a person. Inside of our life, we have to look at the foundations of the good soil. The physical foundations are very basic. We have to learn to treat ourselves with health, eat properly, exercise properly, sleep properly, give ourselves time for fun and recreation, time to play, balance things out in the course of our life, learn not to be so intense. In the emotional area, don't always be in crisis. Have a sense of good, healthy emotions. Be able to share things you want to share. Be able to be open, share your joy, but also share your sorrow. Feel your sorrow. Feel your losses. Learn to feel all feelings that go on in your life. Feelings are okay. Be open to them. And spiritually, begin to see the beautiful person within you, the special person within you, the unique person within you. Open yourself up to new areas of growth. It's a lifelong job. It's very special. It's very holistic. It's very beautiful. It's called recovery. It's called never giving up. Will you have setbacks? Of course you will. You are a human being. There are times you'll be on the good soil journey and find yourself slipping back into the denial process again. Use your tools, use your program, and pull yourself back. You're going to always experience slips, falling backwards. But sometimes they have to happen to remind us of our good soil, to remind us of our tools, to remind us to be open, to remind us of our growth. It's extremely important. So my philosophy, what I share with you today is never give up. Keep coming back. Keep trying. Keep working the program. Keep doing it. Keep struggling. Keep growing. Keep experiencing new things in life. And from that comes your beautiful self, comes you. You see, I entitled this talk, Never Give Up, because each of us has to learn to experience this process of recovery. And so many times you want to give up. You want to turn back. You want to fall backwards on the journey. Don't. You will sometimes. Sometimes you get very frustrated and you'll experience that depression and that despair again. But don't turn back. Keep moving forward. You can't go back anyway, even if you tried. Sometimes they made attempts at it and got our misery refunded. Then we got to move forward and move on. That's what life is all about. So my prayer as I close this talk is very simply that each and every one of us will be open to every new adventure, every new discovery in life. That each of us will allow the process of recovery, the journey, to continue. That each of us will realize we're always on that journey and keep struggling and looking for the good soil. Learn to respect yourself, to love yourself, to like yourself, to be good to yourself. Learn the value of you, and learn that deep down inside of you is that beautiful spiritual principle of God working through you, the energy that was given to you at birth. And remember, no matter what happens in life, you will grow, you will learn, you will experience the newness of who you are. Thank you, and God bless you.